Hello and welcome to another episode of the DewatchPod. I am Jorgen Smorgasbord.
And I am Jim with a G, and we've reached another season 1 on our continuous quest.
That's right, and in some amount of tradition, but not that much, we are starting season 1 with the actual first episode.
That's true. I forget that we actually do that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, so that's a fair
We
point.
skipped it with Strange New Worlds.
But we did do it with Lower Decks.
That's right.
We did do it with Black Mirror. You know, when we were starting this podcast, we did have, the question of, should we watch the episodes in backwards order? No, we didn't do that. Due to, I remember some vague confusion about which one was the first one. But anyway, we are here, back with Love, Death, Robots, Season 1, hitting up Sonnie's Edge. Now, I want to tease you a little bit, because how informed have you been of Love, Death, Robots, ahead of time? Okay, excellent. This episode, along with the next episode that we're going to watch, was actually at the center of a tiny bit of a slight conspiracy once upon a time, back in 2019 when Love, Death, Robots first came out.
Uh-huh.
But I'm leaving you with that until next time when I can finish that story.
Uh-huh.
And that's also for viewer retention or something. I don't know how to do that.
They're listeners.
Oh yeah, listener retention.
And for more listener retention, we will now tell you whether to watch this episode or not.
Yeah, I think so. I like Sonnie's Edge. It's actually I don't know if you picked up on this, Jorgen, but it is one of the most broadly loved episodes of the entire show, actually.
Mm.
It is one of the peaks.
Alright. I approve of it as well, though I'm a bit more shaky than you, I think.
Yeah, I think that's understandable. I think it's more flawed than people give off, but I do like it. Now, speaking of not necessarily flaws, but let's say
things that might give you pause.
Yes, let us hit up with some content warnings for Sonnie's Edge.
We have content warnings for rape,
death,
violence,
and gore, and gore, and gore.
Yeah, gore galore, you might say.
Is this the most gory, if we're doing per minute of television, is this the most gory episode we've ever done on the show?
Probably, but I think it doesn't beat Black Museum, just by spirit.
By vibe, yeah, no, I think that's fair, but that's different vibes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sonnie's Edge's vibes, shall we go into it, dear Jorgen?
Yeah, no, it's a fairly simple episode. We are introduced to a sort of cage fighting ring in which people pilot monsters.
Yeah, big I was gonna say biomechanical. I don't think it's actually explained.
I think they're just big chunky monsters.
I am getting more genetic, biopunk stuff.
And Sonnie is the titular fighter, and she gets an offer to throw a fight.
From the most dishonored looking man in this entire show.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's... They do some... This is an anti-phrenology podcast. But they do some weird skulls in this one.
How many podcasts do you think has to flag that?
Now,
I'm not saying...
Slightly more than you'd expect.
I'm not saying we're doing phrenology, but let's talk about the Alexander's invasion of India.
They're doing a bit of phrenology.
Yeah, I mean, it's this kind of animation style. I think does this a lot. It is I'm not going to dwell on this point. It is very Dishonored looking to me.
Well, some of them, not all of them.
No, some of the people get to be normal.
Yeah, and some of there's a weird gradient of how cartoonish people look.
Yeah, I think it's mostly the main villain who's really cartoonish looking.
Really?
I think so. Who else are you thinking of?
I was thinking of one of the hype man.
Okay, the hype man. Yeah, he's good. He's I want to say Northern English bar owner in 1850.
He's got a very top heavy head.
Also beautiful modern chops, but nevertheless
by volume. And
she gets this offer to throw it in, and this is where we sort of allude at least to the episode's title, which is where we start discussing what is Sonnie. She's a really good like monster pilot.
Yeah.
But why? What is her edge?
The edge is, and she just declines this offer to throw the fight.
Yes.
And her like the pilots have hype people who seem to have no other function than being hype people.
No, there's one guy who's
cool.
looking at like a data pad and going, I'm seeing a lot of stuff on this data pad, dude.
And and like her hype woman, she's got a hype man and a hype woman.
I want to say, I think before what you're getting to, the first thing is that like they point out like she's the only female monster pilot in the business,
which is quite surprising.
Yes, I want to get back to that, but Dishonored Man goes like, so that's your edge, and then Hype Woman comes in with,
she hates men. She hates men because she experienced great violence at the hand of men, and she's carving them up when she's winning in the ring. She's
doing a vengeance storyline, which like there's almost something in there that the way they phrase it makes it sound like these are the people, like the other pilots. That I don't think is actually true. But
no, it's. This is just like, no, she hates men, and that's like the
that's her edge.
That's the pitch. And the vast middle of the episode is taken up by a sick monster fight in which a guy piloting like a chunky monster is shredded in like a really exciting battle where it's like it's got ups and downs and twists and turns.
Yeah, so both of these pilots are like connected into their big monsters. They have a big fight. There's lots of gore, and she wins.
Yeah,
like it's close, but she wins.
Yeah, and
we cut to like I was gonna say the after party, but it's mostly like her
past the after party. The hype people have gotten sufficiently drunk, and Sonnie goes into her like I guess like her sort of pilot quarters with the monster.
Yeah, because she has noticed a pretty lady who was there with a Dishonored Man.
Yeah. That is the guy who asked her to throw the match. And the lady seems to be like kind of horny for her. And is like inquiring a bit, like, what's going on here? And the dynamic we get is that like Sonnie's just like DTF, and hench lady is like, but could I have some more information first?
Yeah, there's a very like a very particular kind of romantic tension that shows up in media where she's soft and innocent and she's like, I want to get away from this life, and then you have more butch Sonnie being like, yeah, I could do that. We should do freedom on the road.
And then we get the final stretch of the episode because it turns out hench lady doesn't want to get away from this life. Hench lady has
claws in her hands.
Yeah. Like in X2, X-Men 2 from 2003. It is exactly like that.
I didn't think about the fact that you just have been watching a bunch of X-Men stuff. Yes, she's a Lady Wolverine, and she's probably about a third of who's the guy who plays Wolverine again?
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman's weight. She's a willowy little tree, and then she goes through Sonnie's skull. And
just like through the chin, through the brain. No frontal lobes to be seen anymore.
I feel like sometimes we do trigger warnings for like watching the episode, and I feel like this is distinctly one where talking about the episode requires the same trigger warnings.
I think they usually extend to all elements.
Yeah, this is a lot.
But in this case, it's gory. But then we get the sort of second half of the twist, which is that Sonnie just like after she gets like really brutalized,
like stomped on after having been impaled.
Yeah, and hench lady like really shows her colors, like absolutely unredeemable.
Yeah.
Antagonist is also like shows up to gloat a little, and the sort of like stomped corpse on the ground. uh, like laughed, which is never something you want to have happen
There is
to
no
you.
situation where you're like, this is gonna lead to something good.
Yeah. And she does a little bit of gloating as well from her like broken body. And she's like, yeah, no, they did crack my skull when I was like brutalized in my backstory. So the mind's not in here. Realizes the antagonist just before getting absolutely fucking shredded
Yeah.
by the beast. And she's like, yeah, no, my edge is that I'm fighting for my life, idiot. And that's it.
Yeah, like it's a good little twist. Like I think they dwell on it a little bit too long in the end.
Mm,
I think you get it pretty quickly, like, okay, if she's not in there, the alternative is
yep.
she's over there and she's launching a bladed tail through Henschlady's face.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, it's generally considered medically inadvisable. In most cases.
Yeah, that's Sonny's edge.
Yeah, it's intense. I think is like one word
Yeah,
for it. Like there are, to be fair, this is not like a thing that Love Death Robot struggles with. It tends to have a lot of stuff happening. I think Sunny's Edge is one of the ones where it feels like they better keep it together through.
yeah, no, like it's a fairly focused story.
Yeah. And I think like it does.
Like there's three scenes.
I think the first thing that really surprised me when I watched Sunny's Edge, both when I first watched it and when I watch it now, is just like how gender it is. Like
Yeah.
that's a thing. Like we've talked in the past about cyberpunk a little bit on the show, like when we did John and Mnemonic and stuff like that.
Mm.
But even then, it's a bit more in the background, right? Like it's the sort of like implications and stuff happening, but not like here we get the like, wow, I didn't know women could be monster pilots, and you kind of go like, huh, why? You know?
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting, right? Because like the, the usual sort of pitch is like, yeah, no, women are just like more physically weak than men. That's why they're not like as strong combatants. And like the thing is, they're not they're not fighting with their bodies. They're fighting with different bodies.
They're fighting with like giant, like I'm trying to think, like not quite Godzilla monsters,
Yeah.
but like on the good way towards Godzilla.
Yeah, no, it's like roughly twice the size of the horse mini kaiju.
Yeah, honestly, like a solid like two-story house type size we're talking here. Like it's not.
Like once, 1.5 story. Like it's not that big, right? It's like it's sort of human geometry accessible, but like barely.
Point being, average strength, upper body strength differences are perhaps not super important here.
But there is a twist to this because like we are left to develop uh this confusion leading up to the battle, and then it turns out no, in the battle it turns out she is piloting the smaller, more agile
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
and I don't really know what to make of that.
I mean, like, I think there's a part of this that is like almost subconscious, right? Like this is the type of like, well, obviously the girl wolf has to have the bow on her head. Like it's there's some floating logic there. I think if you wanted to analyze it from a world building perspective, you would probably make it more about like attitudes or whatever about how you fight. But like I don't think that's actually important here.
Yeah, no, it's I mean they make it important.
Yeah, but it's like it's it's the same reason why like in Left for Dead the girl character has two pistols and not like a shotgun, right? Like it's not, it's just a thing that happens in media, I want to say. And
Yeah.
I don't think it specifically has that much meaning here. Like there's obviously some, because like the other guy who I kind of want to talk about as little as possible.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter
It it
fundamentally.
doesn't matter. But there's some like vibe that like the pilot and their monster have like some physical similarities. Like he's like a big dude
Yeah.
and he's doing like a sort of I'm trying to think of a good, but it's just like rock golem type
Yeah.
monster that he's piloting.
I mean, it is very much flesh.
Yeah, yeah.
As we can tell, every time it gets shredded a bit more, which happens like a fair amount.
There's a good amount of shredding. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of stuff falling off people's bodies and monster bodies.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, there's a point to there, right? Like if you look at Sonnie, she is like, it's not just that she's a woman; she's quite frail looking,
Yeah, she's
right?
quite like lithe.
Yeah, like I think there's a point that probably there's some overlap in like how
Yeah.
you would fight, right? Like if I'm trying to think of like a good example, but like I think if she was a woman weightlifter, maybe
Yeah.
she would also look like the rock
I
climber boy.
guess like it is all artistic choices, right?
But
And
it is
they're like,
also obviously gendered.
yeah, no, they're making some gendered artistic choices here.
Yeah.
Um, and we like it is like gender all the way down as well,
Yeah.
right? Because we get like, oh yeah, no, you thought she was innocent woman, but she is actually femme fatale. When she gets betrayed, right? It's there's no break.
I also
Um,
want to point out that like I do think when they're doing those sort of like hype intro, there is, to me at least, I read the sort of like taunting from the other guy as sort of like allusions to sexual violence.
I I miss that, but it makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, and I mean
It's
they also comment like, "Oh, little
oh yeah,
girl
yeah.
coming in," right? Like
No, I remember now. Yes.
there's I think like this story is clearly about gender, and you could also think of it as it didn't need to be. Like you could have had the same broad story in a fairly egalitarian
Yeah,
world,
no,
right?
it's all gender like up front, and all of that is facade.
Yeah. And this is where like because we didn't mention this in our description, I quite like this episode because there is that little thing where she and hench lady are having their little like seduction dance, and she goes, "No, like the reason I'm the protagonist here is not because I experience sexual violence. That's just thing people get hung up on." And I'm like, this is looking directly at so many offers, like in the face and going, think of a different backstory,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
but like the episode is like doing its absolute fucking best to like make us think that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the antagonist like both like does the like sort of sexually aggressive machismo,
Yeah.
and then also like mid-fight like gets out a blade, which is like
Yeah.
specifically like her experience of being brutalized,
Dude,
sort of encapsulated in that.
Freud would have a field day.
Yeah, like but like that one like is clearly intentional, right?
Yeah,
It's
she's being pushed up against the wall by a much more physically imposing
yeah,
monster.
and
There's a lot.
yeah, and in the end it's like no, this is actually she actually has a different gender than what you thought, and it's like kaiju.
But I do I like it's not a subtle episode, which Love
No.
Death Robots rarely is, and like obviously like it wouldn't be fun to do podcasting about subtle media. Well, maybe sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's not what we've chosen as
No.
our vocation. But no, like I do like the sort of being like, yeah, I know that's what people talk about, but like that's not the totality of who I am, nor why I'm doing the thing I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
you can obviously trace back that like it's the same event that left her so physically damaged that she had to be put in the monster.
Mm.
I feel like if you can grow a giant monster, you could probably grow a human body, but move past that, you know?
Yeah, no, like there's like at least like a very minor inference where you could make that like no, she chooses to remain in the monster.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think there might be that.
like it's not like at all like emphasized, but that is like something you can like think about.
Yeah, I do also
Because like
want
how did she get into the monster?
to. Just a badly like just a badly beaten woman shows up at the morgue or like at the hospital, and you go like, well, we could try to fix her up, but there is also the monster lab a couple of blocks down down the street. So, you know, 50-50. Here, we'll flip a coin on that one.
I wonder like how many people this episode gave body dysphoria for not being a kaiju.
Dude, one day, we'll get to this beautiful society. You think this is cyberpunk dystopia, but actually...
But yeah, no, like and it's a bit hard to like. I don't think this episode is saying something very complicated, right?
No.
Like there's like one and a half layers to this, maybe, right? It's like, on the one hand, we have like these sort of like meta-textual, like, hey, what if like there were more to people than the worst day of their lives?
And I do think it's very specifically like a story about like how women are portrayed in
Yeah,
media. Because like this is a thing that shows up, right? Where you make a fantasy story and you have like a female protagonist or a female important character, and you for some reason feel just like this incessant need to justify
yeah.
that.
The reason this movie wouldn't work with a male protagonist is because the trope with a male protagonist would have been having the girlfriend killed,
Yeah.
right?
If my edge is not that my wife was put in a fridge, I promise.
My edge is that I'm actually am my wife. Something like that.
Welcome to the writer's room of the DewatchPod podcast, where we reuse only the best episodes. But yeah, no, like I think it is brutally straightforward to that point, and I don't know, I appreciate that. Like I'm being very genuine here because
I
it
think the interesting thing that the episode like throws up and does not at all answer is like um why she's leaning into the misdirection.
mm,
Because like if you said like I'm the lady that's actually in the ring,
you get a
uh
lot of hype.
people would be fucking into that, right?
Yeah,
And presumably there's like we could like there's a million reasons you can think of why that's not like what she leads with.
yeah,
Amongst them, like you can't let people die in the ring. That would be fucked up.
and,
This is
and
more of a video game with like physical animation.
also it's very clearly demonstrated by this episode. There are some behind the scenes, literal assassinations going on
Yeah.
to rig the scene. I also want to say, like, and I'll take a moment here to throw out some stuff I actually really like, because I rewatched this episode. This is probably the second time I
Mm.
rewatched this episode. There is some good, genuine foreshadowing of that reveal, right? Like, there's a couple of times where, like, the monster reacts, and you kind of go, like, but wait, she's not being controlled right now, right?
Mm.
There's also specifically, like, I noticed during the fight scene, um, if you look at the body language, the sort of rock beast, like is a lot more like, oh, I'll tank my arm being ripped off. But there's like a moment, like when Sonnie wins the fight, she's nursing her side,
Yeah.
which is like one of those things that I think is genuinely like accepted as like a cognitive display of pain. But
Yeah.
like it doesn't actually do that much. It's a thing you do when you're experiencing pain, like psychologically.
And when you're trying to hold your guts in.
But her guts are fine.
Unclear.
But I like the point being, like, it is very clear seeing that like she's not just being like, ooh, like I'm getting some extra pain sensations through our
Mm.
cyberlink. It is like she's experiencing it a lot
Yeah.
directly, and I think that's something that to me leads in some interesting questions, which is like her hype crew. Sorry, let me do the YouTube thumbnail. Do they know? Because I'm not sure.
I think they don't know. I think they're idiots who are like allowed to be there for like to keep the show in place.
Right.
And it's also extremely unclear what the hype crew do. Like they're deeply non-entities.
No, again, one of them has a data pad and there are brains on it that light up. But genuinely, I think it's interesting because, like, if we're taking the visual language and saying, okay, this guy is probably doing something technical here, I feel like it seems entirely possible that he would know, and yet the story they keep telling is like it was because she was like assaulted that she has this power.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. Again, it's ambiguous. I'm not gonna make any like authoritative statements on what the story is trying to say. But to me, that completely reads as being like, no, like this belief of theirs that this is how people react to trauma has just completely cemented.
Yeah.
Like, even if they should know better, they're like, no, this is what defines her as a person.
Yeah, no, it's we don't really know what's going on, and like I guess it just like isn't that interesting to the episode.
Yeah.
Like
But I do think it is. I think it is kind of interesting to look at that
mm,
from the like perspective of like clearly Sonny doesn't Like, Sonnie herself doesn't even say that at any point. Like, it has just been completely constructed around
Yeah.
her, and she looks like a little bit disgusted by that fact.
Yeah, but she's also like, what other option does she have? Right?
Yeah.
She wants to stay in the league, I guess.
I think there's a point there where, like, in the open she just doesn't say anything, but
Yeah.
when she's alone with someone who, and it's unclear if she knows she's gonna get betrayed here.
Mm.
I lean towards no.
Yeah,
um
no.
but when she's with someone she clearly is wanting to have like a fling with, she is actually open about correcting that and being like, no, that's not it, like that's just not the defining feature of who I am.
Yeah, it's like it's very difficult to tell whether they're like just building foreshadowing or whether she's like actually just like about to like drop the truth. Because like she is like kind of trying to get her out of a bit bad situation at the same
Yeah.
time. Um, so maybe she is just like, no, no, I'm the real deal.
Oh yeah, it's interesting to me, at
Mm.
least. I wanna make some few points. I think this is good cyberpunk. Now, it doesn't talk about corporation and stuff. I think it's like it doesn't have the class angle properly, but
It does the class angle
I
to a fair
I
amount.
guess Dishonored Man is extremely.
Yeah, we have like an upper class coded fellow with a cane who's like got a subordinate woman, and we've got like the people in the mud who are like sort of like lumpen proletariat style like brawlers. Right? It's like it's not the focus, but it's like clearly painted.
But what I want to really emphasize is that, like, one of the things that people often forgot about cyberpunk is that it's kind of about accessibility, right? Like, part of cyberpunk's ethos is the idea that like technology will not save us from our own problems.
Mm,
Chief amongst them is lack of equality, right?
yeah.
And one of those things that I see so many people fall into when they want to write like futuristic stuff is being like, every door is automatic, like everything is lit up perfectly, all of that. Even if it's a grungy type, it
Mm,
is still like this. These fuckers arrive with their bio monster in a truck. Not a hover truck, not like a particularly fancy. It's a truck. It is about a truck you can see going by on the street outside right now. They open like these like just metal, like almost blast door looking things with like, just like the same sort of like metal bars you see. I think that's really good cyberpunk to be like, this is a society that can create these semi kaiju for fun, and they still like you're still driving around in trucks. Like it's just not distributed. The technology is not evenly distributed.
yeah, and like progress is not evenly distributed within technology.
Exactly. Like this is kind of a really good part of nailing cyberpunk's actual aesthetic, I think.
Mm,
Like there should be people who are like getting immortality treatments, and there should be people who are like cooking on an open stove because their electricity bill got like cut off.
yeah,
And I think it does it really well. Now, that's not the focus of this episode, but I'm just kind of impressed that I nailed that little aesthetic.
yeah. But yeah, no, do you think there's like anything deeper to the twist? Like other than like besides the metatextual and like the sort of intratextual, like um sort of like the about the use of like deception for like sort of subaltern people. Um
Hmm.
like is there anything more? Or is
Well,
that like I think that's sort of it, right?
let's talk about it from the episode's perspective, right? Because like the gender stuff is obviously very forward,
Yeah.
and it is a very distinct part of it. But also like it does make this like statement about like fear, right? Like in fact, I would say like the whole seduction scene
Mm,
has a lot of fear to it. Like it makes a couple of statements in there,
yeah.
and you're looking doubtful, Jorgen.
No, no, I think I'm following.
Like I want to analyze this on a very base level to start with. They are saying like stuff like, what was it? They like, fear is primal, hatred you have to learn, and stuff like that.
Mm,
And I don't know if it leads anywhere. Like it is a point you can make. Yeah, like yeah, she is fighting better because she's scared.
yeah.
Like she's fighting for her life in a way that the others aren't. Yeah. I don't actually think that goes much further.
Well, I think sort of, because I think there is like, and this is like another like class dimension, because like she is like not an equal contender in this world, as it turns out, right?
Mm.
Like she is like both um like somehow disadvantaged because women fighters are a no
Yeah,
like
apparently unknown, almost. Or entirely, I guess.
except for her. Um, and that means, and like it's not like mechanically within the mechanics of the plot, but like in the like greater logic of the story, that means that she has to put like things on the line on like a whole different level. And like that like makes perfect sense to me, right? Like
Mm.
if you're like entering into a class, um, where of like people who sort of like have like a sense of like entitlement to belong there. Um and you know there's like all there's like a lot of class dynamics that sort of come naturally to them but not to you. Um it's it's like this sort of like it's very basic feminism on some level, right? It's like
Mm.
sort of these invisible ceilings, the glass ceilings. Um and they're not insurmountable entirely, but like struggling against them just takes like a completely different category of like sacrifice and effort. And I think that is more or less like what the episode is sort of getting at. And I think there's like both like a class and a gender dimension to it.
Mm.
And I think that is more or less like the fundamental, like interesting dynamic that this episode is like actually like gripping and like looking at. Because like, yeah, no, she is just like everyone else is like playing like a video game and she is in the ring. And that I think that is more or less what we're getting at.
Yeah, I think like I almost want to connect it a little bit to our previous episodes and like the very pulse of the machine and stuff, like
Mm.
about the idea of like being at the edge of the paradigm,
Yeah.
right? Like and that creating like this actual possibility for innovation.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting thing. I at times I worry about this sort of like line of reasoning because at
Mm.
times it can feel like fetishizing inequality.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
there's this idea of like I think it could come back to girl boss feminism, right? Where like because you have to
Yeah.
struggle so much harder, you actually get better, and that makes the struggle cool. And you have to go no.
Yeah, I mean they're like to draw like an extremely direct parallel.
Mm.
Like boxing like in the US like has a lot of this dynamic where like on the one hand it's like a way for like sort of subaltern people to like rise to like power and fame and just like financial security in a way that's like otherwise very inaccessible. And the US specifically, like with its like black minority, has like a lot of this, like especially
Mm.
football as well, um where there are just like these sports where like you can like make like the devil's bargain of putting like your well-being on the line in like a truly like extraordinary way, and like potentially but not at all reliably see like truly like outstanding results and like rise sort of above your assigned station into like this sort of like gladiator fame. And one term that like I think made it start in boxing particularly is like about like young athletes being hungry, right? There and it's it's a really uncomfortable one because like it is both metaphor and literal, because like the the athletes that it is often like applied to are like literal people like experiencing like physical deprivation. They are people who are physically hungry, who are fighting in the ring for their like next meal and their like next year of meals, and how that drives the and like it this is like lauded by like some commentators, right? That like, oh yeah, you know, like this is like a really like hungry young athlete, like
Mm.
they want it. uh and the origin and like continuing reason for how much these people want to win in their like the discipline that where they see like a chance to rise, it comes from like deprivation. And here we have exactly that, right? She is hungry because she is like afraid of death, because she's putting things on the line in a different way, because like something is driving her to like need to succeed here. And like it's clearly like both like among like class and gender axes. And like it's like it's an extremely direct translation of like currently happening things into um beasts and implants.
Do you know the thesis that like women rulers throughout history tend to start more wars than male rulers?
I can guess where this is going.
Can you know?
Well, they have more to prove.
Yeah, that's the broad
Yeah.
idea. Now I haven't looked into the numbers, and I would I would have a lot of questions about the methodology
Mm,
to specify that. But like I don't believe it's fundamentally unreasonable to expect that. And I also always think about this in the context of like if we look at a lot of like especially minority women who got into like positions of high power, the other thing, apart from like sacrificing your health and well-being, which is usually going to be a part of the package no matter what,
mm,
it's also just like the pure corruption that a lot of people in these positions end up doing because you
yeah.
have so much to prove and you have so many barriers to get
Mm,
around. And it's kind of interesting to me that, like, in this one, in this episode, she's like a moral paragon, right? As far as like this society is concerned.
apparently, like as far as we can see, yeah.
She skips out on taking a very good bribe.
Yeah.
She like
No, like she can't really take it, right?
well, I don't know. I don't actually know it. It's implied like what losing means.
I think losing is death.
Is it always though? Because
I
like I
think
I am
so.
unclear on that point.
I think losing like includes at least like a serious risk of death.
That's fair.
And she is being asked to like take like at best like a coin flip of being killed.
Hmm.
And she's like, "No, I don't want to do that."
But I think it's the other part is that like if you look at like her interactions with Hench Lady, like she is the victim there, right? Like
Mm,
she's portrayed like a bit sexually. I don't want to say aggressive because I don't think she's actually like stepping over anything, but like very forward, right?
yeah.
Like she is playing a very traditional initiation role or whatever you want to say, right?
Yeah.
Um, but she is fundamentally like almost portrayed as like a little naive in that, like when she gets got by the Wolverine claws. And I kind of think that's interesting in a way that like she is portrayed as being like a little bit like victim to the whims of this like criminalness of this world.
I mean, sort of, right? It's an interesting tension because like on the one hand, like she is sort of like vulnerable and naive, but on the other hand, like she kind of like has the room to do so in this
Yeah,
particular
she's
way.
got the trump card, right?
Yeah, right.
But she's not like actively doing espionage. She's just going, if I get assassinated, I got a second one. We good.
Yeah, no, and I think that's like that is actually one of the like more like charming angles of this episode where like you can kind of see like sure like she is putting her life on the line, but um she is also like gaining something from it, and that is like this like deep advantage in this clearly like not that unusual like situation of personal threat.
Yeah, no, she's liberated in that way. I also like I remember like when she gets her head stomped in, there's that like where she goes like, nice trick. Like she just goes like, you got me. Good one. On her way out. It's just yeah, but like it is interesting to me that like there is still Cyberpunk can definitely differ a lot in this, unlike the morality of the protagonists.
Mm.
And it's interesting that this one I don't know. It does stick to her like at least being unblemished. Like she's not going like, and now I'll donate my winnings to the orphans of the city.
Yeah,
But like most other people in this story
but like
come off worse.
she has done like the extremely brutal work of like making her way up like by putting herself on the line,
Yeah.
and her reward for that is like having this trump card. And that's like I don't think it's like meant as like an endorsement of like the sort of like system that sort of implicit,
Hmm.
but like it is like there is like a little bit of like gloating on like the side of the writers going like, yeah, no, you go, right? Like you have made it, and like you get to like take your like rightful prize, which is like killing the shit out of these two people.
Yeah, she has swapped one kind of danger for another.
Yeah.
And it's in the proud tradition of protagonists of action stories. It's the dumber form of the threat that she's now under.
Yeah.
But that's probably nice to some extent, you
Mm.
know? Like imagine if you were like, hey, 0%, would you take the deal of like you have a 0% chance of like dying to disease, but you're gonna have to like fight off a guy with a knife every year? It's
There we have it.
I think a lot of people would ponder that.
I wouldn't.
Oh come on, you're a good runner.
That's not the initial pitch here. And also like I get old at some point. I'm gonna like have a disadvantage unless the knife person is always the same.
I was gonna say the obvious logical balancing act is that the knife person gets older too. They'll eventually have like grandpa running after you.
Maybe I'm coming around again, but it might be difficult to explain at some point.
Probably.
But yeah, no, I mean, I still wouldn't take it, but you've made it more compelling.
See, that's what this podcast is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, but it clearly also shows that I'm not protagonist material. Um,
There was a part of me that was like when I saw like the arena and everything again, and I sort of got reminded of this FedEx that I was like, I want to introduce this episode as like, what if robot wars, but you put your brain into the robot.
I mean, yeah,
I'm just pitching an idea here. If anyone wants to make a new YouTube channel of taking like Robot Wars clips and then adding human voices to it, like one of the dudes just gets flipped and goes ah.
I mean, I guess like to put like a tiny tangent on this, like the opponent does just have like a little bit of like gamer vibes, right? Like just like in the sense
Hey,
that,
now there's no slurs coming out at any point.
but like there's
Well,
just
no,
like
there's one.
there is just like the sort of like a level of like engagement that he has, which is like I am playing a game,
He's doing a
which
Call
is
of Duty
yeah,
voice chat.
like and like he's like being a strong heel and so on, and like he's doing all the things, and you know he loses, he gets mad, but like that's sort of the level he's operating on,
Yeah.
and
I think that's actually
yeah,
another like little fun point, and this doesn't necessarily have to imply this, but like another thing on the point of the foreshadowing, he's constantly like jumping out and shouting at his hype man. Sonnie is just like Sonnie's human body is just sitting there the entire time, like
yeah,
no reaction. I think they set it up pretty well.
yeah,
Looking
for
back,
sure.
um, I'm pondering about whether to open up one last little thing.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, remember when we did 50 million merits for Black Mirror?
Somewhat.
I remember one thing we talked about one of the black characters at the end.
You'll have to remind me.
Okay. Does the character in this episode feel a bit off?
The opponent?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He does literally go surprise motherfucker at one point.
I did miss that.
Okay.
Um,
I was like, I don't think he has enough presence for me to be certain. But I was like, sexually aggressive large black man.
yeah, no, I mean that is something they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad to have that confirmed.
They're like,
Yes.
like that they are sort of leaning into the sort of like a sporty slash gamer archetype, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's sort of like the space they're operating in, and like
I like your approach to this episode about taking it as like anti-gamer propaganda because we're
no,
very pro
no.
that.
I think the sort of point about like I think in many ways this episode is taking up like specifically the experiences of black athletes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um However, it is also like just like drawing on like the easiest stereotype for the opponent, who is like the most non-character character.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it would have been like better if they'd made him like vaguely Eastern European. Right, because that's
Oh,
sort of like the
this.
other one that you would draw on this
Yeah, this does
for.
take place in the UK, I feel like, or at least it's very, like, everyone speaks a very heavy UK accents.
Yeah.
Um, in a way, I want to say, like, I think this, you remember when we did, USS Callister? Like, the second episode of USS Callister, and you were like, oh, they could have had so much about, like, these real human beings being put into a video game. This is kind of it, right? A little bit. Not in the EVE Online sense, but
Yeah,
the,
except like no one else knows and no one else can like react to that fact,
I suppose.
which is sort of the thing I'm after.
Okay, well, fair enough. I wanted to bring a bit of joy from a sad, sad experience of USS Callister.
Ah, alas.
Nevertheless,
Yeah.
that's Sonnie's Edge. The canonically first episode of Love the Robots. Fuck.
They they do try to do like similar things.
Yeah.
But yeah. Thank you for listening. What are we doing next week?
Well, you've already been spoiled, technically, but we are going to be doing Beyond the Aquila Rift, which I
Um,
really had to like ponder, like which exact words was it again?
yeah, I had no recollection. Thank you so much for listening.
We'll see you on the other side.